In einer sehr ländlichen Gegend bei Lüttich in Belgien steht die Owl Distillery. Eine einerseits sehr regional verbundene, andererseits im wahrsten Wortsinn im Herzen schottische Destillerie. Regional, weil die Gerste für ihren Whisky auf den umliegenden Feldern wächst. Und schottisch, weil in ihr 2 Brennblasen der ehemaligen Brennerei Caperdonich arbeiten. Wir sind hier mit Sales Manager Femke van der Vorst und Master Distiller Etienne Bouillon verabredet, um mehr über die Owl Distillery und ihre Produkte zu erfahren. Im modernen und schön eingerichteten Besucherzentrum, das im alten Vierkanthof errichtet wurde, der auch die Produktion und die Lager beherbergt, sprechen wir zunächst mit Etienne Bouillon darüber, wie alles begann. The first thing I wanted to know from you, Etienne, is how did it come into your mind to do a distillery?
Okay, well, in fact, as I am in a family tradition of wine and alcohol, of course, at one point I had another choice, but very quickly I switched back to come in the family tradition, and I'm very curious. So we were in the wine and alcohol business, of course, but you have 2 ways. You can make alcohol starting with alcohol, or you can create your own alcohol. Mm-hmm. And as I was and I'm still very curious, I always wanted to know how it happens from the beginning. And in the 1970s, so the century before this one, it was not so easy to have the traceability, to have information, and so I decided to begin with the distillation process. And just by curiosity, I would say my path made me meet 3 distillers. The first one is Regionale Wurzeln, who is the creator of a museum of the Geneva in Belgium in Hasselt, which is a city close from Liège. And then I met François Moutard, who is a distiller in France, in Champagne. So he's producing champagne, making champagne, and distilling some Mar de Champagne with quality, both of them. And then in 2004, I had the opportunity to meet Jim McEwan in a festival, in a whiskey festival in Ghent, which is another city close from Liège, because Belgium is so small that every city is close from another one. And when I met Jim McEwan during this festival, I was already distilling my new make. I had decided to create the Belgian hour and I was ready to go on with the adventure. And as I was giving tasting of my new make at 70 degrees, so 140 proof, as it comes from the still, I had a lot of good friends on my side who told me, listen, Jim McEwan is there, and he's quite a big name in the whiskey, in the single malt Scotch whiskey, not industry, but distilling world. So why would you not go to make him taste your new make? And so I did, because I was there for. And when I met Mr. McEwan at the point, Jim today, I said, Mr. McEwan, we are in Belgium, and I'm starting with Belgian single malt whiskey. I'm starting the story, of course, because I've not it yet. But are you upset with that idea? He said, well, upset why? Should I? I said, no, maybe not. But then he has seen the bottle that I had on my side of my new make at 70 degrees as I distill the art of the new make, what I take to fill the cask. And said, this is your new make? Yeah. Can I taste it? Of course, it was a goal. And he took the bottle, a glass, he went on the side of his stand. It was a stand for Bruichladdich at that time. And he came back and he said, well, it's as good as what we do. So it was a relief for me. I could have stopped then if the tasting would not have been positive, which it was. And so I was very, very happy of his feeling. And I explained him, well, we grow the barley on the site of the distillery on a specific geological ground, soil. Then all the process, at that time, all the process is made in Belgium. So we do the harvest, the storage of the barley is made in Belgium. The maltery at that time was a Belgian maltery. The grist, the mash, the fermentation, the distillation, I made everything in Belgium. So he said, well, it's perfect. It's sometimes, we don't all use barley from Scotland, but so it's one step more back to the history, what you are doing. And so he did ask me, and what's the name of your whiskey arriving in 3 years, of course. And I said Belgian Owl. So I don't need to say the translation because it's in English, but when I explain it in French or in Dutch, here in Belgium, I give always the explanation. And he said, well, it's very nice, Belgian for Belgium, owl, because I explained him the two symbols of the owl that I have in mind. And I had then, and I still have today. So knowledge and wiseness, knowledge to make it, wise to drink it. So with moderation always. And he said, well, the name is good. You didn't choose a Mac something or a Glen something else. Then we could have been upset. But and what type of cask are you using for the aging? For the and I said, well, I buy cask from the Evan Hill Distillery, first Wilburn cask. And he said, well, sometimes we use the same cask also. So you are on a good step, your idea is good, your philosophy is nice. If you'd like for you to come, I invite you at Bruichladdich to make his Bruichladdich Malt Academy. And in order to give, so that I and my team will give you all the small, not secrets, but the small things that you need to know in order to perfect yourself a little more, if you can, and to do as good as it can be. And I said, okay, when do I come? And so 3 weeks after, I was with Jim McEwan and his team at Bruichladdich, with Duncan, with Alan, with a good part of the team.
And that was in which year?
2004 and 5.
So 14 years later.
Yeah.
We are here now and we will have a look at what transpired out of that.
Yeah.
And you will show us around.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
You didn't start distilling here,
No.
but when you came back from Bruichladdich, that is the story about how this distillery came into being.
That's right. So at the beginning, I distilled at the very beginning with 2 stills. That have a capacity of 550 and 450 liters, wash still and spirit still. When I left Jim and his team at Bruichladdich, I said, listen, Jim, I'm distilling with stills that have been built in 1880. It was the story of the first still that I have used to create the Belgian Owl at the beginning. And if it's possible one day to have a second-hand still from Scotland, I would love to buy those and to work, because I think that the tools, the stills that have been working have something special, their own identity, and I would love to do it. And he came like this on my side and he said, listen, the stills from Scotland will always stay in Scotland. I said, okay, sorry to have you upset, Mr. McEwan or Jim. It's okay, I get it. I know it will not be possible. So I came back and growing with the Belgian Owl and its history, it very quickly, appeared that 500 liters of capacity of distilling would be not enough. We had then the opportunity to do a bottling of 20,000 bottles a year, and it appeared very quickly that it was not enough in order to have a long view on the distillery. So I had a contact with Richard Forsyth in order to build two stills of a bigger capacity, and I was thinking two stills of 300,000 liter and 2,000 liter, something like that for the wash still and the spirit still. But then you have things that happen that you have not foreseen, and Katia, who is my daughter, began to be interested in the whiskey world. And at one point she did ask me to go to make sometimes in a distillery. And I said, okay, I'm going to look. I called Jim and said, Jim, is it possible for Katia to be with you for a while so she can feel the atmosphere of a distillery? And he said, of course. She went there. And very quickly, as she was used with me, she began to distill there. And one day, Jim came to see her and said, Katia, is your father still looking for second-hand still from Scotland? And she said, I think, yes. Should we call him? Oh, she said, okay, yes. And so I had Jim at the phone. Jim, Etienne, this is Jim. Are you still interested in second-hand still from Scotland? And we were ready for new, but my heart was with stills, with history. And I said, yes, yes, of course. I know too. Okay. Do you have the money? I didn't know exactly what type of money it was, but I was ready with something. So I said yes. And so he said, okay, you can call Richard Forsyth and tell him that I gave my go for the stills, the two stills that I know and that he knows, to leave Scotland and to be for you. Say, okay, thank you, Jim. And then I hang on the phone. And Jim looked at Katia and said, is he happy? Because I'm not expressive. I cannot jump to the bottom of voilà, I'm like this when I'm very happy. So you can maybe not see it so well. But Katia explained, yes, of course, he's very happy. Of course, I was extremely happy, very happy. And so I called...
At that time, did you know where the stills came from?
No, he said, I know too, just call Richard. Okay. So I called Richard, and I said, Richard, Jim told me to call you. Yes, he already did call me also. So he said, it's okay for you to have the stills. Are you ready with the money? We're making business, of course, but I still didn't know exactly how much it was, but I was ready with new stills, and Richard knew it because, and I said, well, you know the budget, so do you think it can be good? He said, because he knew what I had, he said, yes. So I said, I'm ready with the money. So he said, come, and we signed the contract. And so we went to see Richard 3 weeks after maybe, with Christian Police, and we signed together the contract to buy the stills of the ex-Caperdonich distillery, and at that point we decided to take 2 of the 4 stills of the ex-Caperdonich distillery. So of course, after the signatory of the contract, we had a few Scottish drum. And at one point, Christian, who was on my side, said, well, now that everything is going very nice at 2. And so I would like, when I go in Belgium, I don't leave Scotland if I don't have a kilt. And the atmosphere was very happy. So Richard said, okay, listen, Christian, I'm going to give you a kilt. And he went in his office and he took his kilt and he gave it to Christian. And Christian took the kilt, but Christian and Richard, with respect, have not more my size, but well, they are very good, very strong men. And well, it was impossible for him to close the kilt. So I have seen at that point Richard and Christian looking at me, and I said, no, I didn't want a kilt, but I received the kilt of Richard Forsyth. Right. So wonderful. This is the story.
And behind you are the two stills from Caperdonich.
Yes, of course. So the distillery Caperdonich was created in 1897-98, and those are two of the four stills of the ex-Caperdonich distillery, with, of course, the safe. And since they arrived here in Belgium, in Liège, in this area that we name La Esbey, or we can name it in Flemish, in Dutch also, Aspengouw. For us, it's the same area. And they arrived the 27th February 2013. We signed with the contract in 2010, so it took a little more than 2 years in order to fix everything, to welcome the two stills, the mash tun, the 4 fermenters, and the 2 stills from the ex-Caperdonich distillery.
What's their capacity?
So the wash still has a capacity of 11,000 liter, but we fill it with 10,500 liter. And the spirit still has a capacity of 8,000 liter, but we fill it with 7,000 liter.
Right. And how often do you distill here with them?
We distill only our harvest. So we do a harvest of, we began with 5 hectares and now we are up to 77 hectares. So this harvest, for example, was 560 tons of barley that we make, we ask a company to malt it because we don't do the process of malting inside. And then it takes us 5 months to distill it, and we can stop and start again whenever we want, because it's not we don't use the still at full capacity. It's not a need, and also it's not a will. I prefer to grow with the product, with the production, quietly, nicely, than to go and to try to distill too much and there is no use for it. So today that capacity of distilling is very nice.
Okay. Talking about the harvest, let's have a look at the fields where the barley comes from.
Yeah, maybe one more anecdote I would say about the arriving of the stills. The stills arrived the 27th February 2013 with 11 guys from the Foresight company. They did work during 8 weeks. And I said because I'm very grateful to the company and to the guys who came here because what they made was outstanding, still is, but at that point, when they come to do such a job, they work 7 on 7, 7 day on 7 day, and from 7 in the morning to 7 at the night. And the 27th February 2013, we had no door, no window here in the distillery, and the weather was -15. It was snowing outside, so they just had to put everything in place. They didn't really begin to do the direct job, but there was a lot of things to do. But -15, even Sunday. So wow, it's a great experience.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So
Welcome.
Let's move on to the fields. So this all here belongs to the distillery?
Yes, this is a cooling tower. This is the place where we have to empty the cask, the bottling tools and everything like this. This is the electricity power plant. If we would not have it, the village would not have any more electricity, so I didn't want to be upset with everybody in the village.
Of course.
This is for the spent lease, and this is the second warehouse. And the 2 green buildings are the tools of the farmer. So his tractor and everything he needs to do the farming process. At the beginning it was there, but as I needed the room very nicely, he decided to make those 2 new accommodation.
This is a beautiful rural place here.
This is my office, so welcome. The barley or whatever is on the field, but we also have their natural enemies. So what we hope is that if some insect go on the field, their natural enemies will also follow. And so we need, we hope we need to go and to correct a situation as less as it can be. The idea that I gave to the farmers is to keep the soil in good quality for the next 150 years. We might not be there anymore, but the soil will be there. And if we still can, if we are gentle with the soil and with respect with the soil, I'm sure that in 150 years, here they'll still be able to make an outstanding Belgian ale with barley coming from the surroundings of the distillery. So about the building, so the distillery is in a farm that has been built in the 17th century. And it was built on the ruins of a monastery that doesn't exist anymore, and we don't have any more papers about what was in those times the monastery. So this farm is what we name a square farm, because the building is completely square. Also there is, I say, something nice from some place, I don't know where, because if you go in Scotland and you see the distillery, they used to have a pagoda, and it was used to dry the malt during the malting process. And here, at the 17th century, it was only a decoration, the pagoda, which is behind me. And but everybody coming from Scotland, with who I speak, always says, well, it was foreseen to be a distillery here, a distillery of whiskey, a single malt distillery. And I say, no, it's like this. It's a small sign, maybe, but this is it. It has no use. Then also there is something typical. When it was possible, in those farms here, in this place, they tried to put the big opening to the west, because most of the wind comes mostly from the west side. And if you would like to breathe nicely during the summer, well, it's good to have the door great open and to have some fresh wind.
Right. So, and you moved in when?
In fact, everything started a little bit here and there. Fex and Grasse-Sologne. But the first was here. I had the fermenter here. Then I had my cask here. So I made the fermentation here and the distillation in Grasse-Sologne. And since 2013, everything is here. So the grist, the mashing process, the fermenters, the two stills, the two warehouses that we have, and the bottling facilities.
And the visitor center is in there.
Please.
And the visitor center is in there with all the bottlings you have now. And you have 5 bottlings right now. And I think Femke will tell us about them.
Yeah.
Also wir haben jetzt 5 Expressionen von belgischen Owl. Eigentlich unser Stolz ist dieser. Wir nennen das ist unser ungereifter Destillat. Wir nennen es Origine. Und weil wir ein 100% belgischer Single Malt Whisky machen wollen, ist es eigentlich das wichtigste Produkt, das wir haben. Weil Belgian Owl kann sich hiermit unterscheiden von anderen Whisky. Und dann haben wir Identité. Das ist unser 3 Jahre alte gereifte Whisky in Bourbonfässer, ungefiltert, und wir haben keine Farbe.
Whisky, genau.
Ja, keine Farbe. Also 46%. Bei Jove ist eine spezielle Abfüllung, weil wir möchten etwas anderes, einen Link machen mit etwas anderes, sehr belgisch. Und das ist natürlich Comics, Bücher, Comics ist sehr belgisch. Also es gibt ein Buch, das ist von Black und Mortimer. Und wir haben ein Album ausgewählt, es ist als gelbe Zeig. Und haben wir 4 Comics gewählt und haben wir die auf Etikett gemacht. Und es gibt 4 Editionen, dann kann man die da sehen. Es gibt 4 verschiedene Comics. Und dann haben wir noch 2 Einzelfässer. Wir haben eine Serie, nennen wir Passion. Und das ist immer ein Einzelfass, aber immer abgefüllt auf 46%. Diese 2 Editionen hier sind reserviert für die Brennerei hier. Aber es gibt Einzelabfüllungen wie diese für die Market. Also
wie alt sind die jetzt?
Ja, das ist für jedes Wasser ist das anders. Also hier es ist ein 39 Monate, aber vielleicht nächste Edition ist mehr oder ein bisschen, nicht viel, ein bisschen, weil das natürlich 36 Monate soll sein. Und dann haben wir Intense, auch eine Serie von Einzelfasser, aber immer ausgefüllt fast starke. Ja.
Und wenn wir jetzt auf diesen schauen, der hat eine fast schon unglaubliche Angabe von 72,5%.
Ja, und das ist, weil wir haben schon gesprochen über Angel Share. Wie sagt man das auf Deutsch? Angel Share. Okay.
Der Anteil der Engel.
Okay. Natürlich haben wir Alkohol, das
verdunstet.
Ja, aber es ist auch so für Wasser. Es gibt 2 besondere Sachen, die wir hier am Brennerei sehen. Das ist, weil alles fängt ab mit wenn wir die Fässer abfüllen, dann ist das nur 100% ungereift Destillat. Nicht wirklich wie hier, weil wir haben hier
runterverdünnt auf 46%.
Ja. Aber normalerweise gibt es unsere New Made Spirit, ungereifte Destillat ist bis 70 und 72% Alkohol. Also das machen wir direkt im Wasser, ohne Wasser. Also die Reifung fängt ab, ein bisschen höher.
Also ihr füllt wesentlich höher ab als die Schotten und ein bisschen niedriger als die Iren, weil die teilweise mit 80%.
Ja. Es ist zwischen 70 und 72.
Okay.
Und dann wir haben auch gesehen, dass wir ein bisschen mehr Wasser verlieren als Alkohol. Und also die Alkoholprozent geht nach oben.
So wie bei den Amerikanern, die das teilweise auch in den Warenhäusern haben.
Ja, wir haben für die zweite, für die Oktober, November haben wir 3 Fässer genommen von 2005 und 2 von 2006 und wir werden die abfüllen in einem Monat oder etwas. Es gibt ein Fass, das wir nicht zurückbringen bis 46 und es werde eine fast starke sein, abgefüllt ab 77, mehr und 1,5%, denke ich. Es ist mehr als 77.
Ein schottisches Herz und eine regionale Seele. Die Belgian Owl bringt beides mit und weiß damit zu gefallen. Wir sagen Danke und auf Wiedersehen.